Hit you with another one of them old phenomenal shits.
Hello everyone, Chris from Undrlvld, and we're pretty much going to get straight into it. Welcome to the second week of Undrlvld content. I know I said that we're gonna, the D&D celebration stuff was over, but alas, they came out with a little article the other day talking about the changes that they were being a little more descriptive on the changes they were going to be making to the stat blocks. So I thought I would just take a second to go over that. Don't forget, at 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway for a Naruto figure. We're paying for shipping, we're paying for everything. We hit 100 subscribers, I'll figure out a way to do the giveaway. We pick someone, bam, you get a nice figure for your desk. We all win. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, notification bell, share the video, all that stuff. Yeah, California, for whatever reason where I live, is just getting slammed with random weather, so it's getting ridiculously hot in my room. So I'm going to try to go through this as fast as I can so I don't melt. Again, you could consider this like an epilogue of the D&D celebration, specifically the Future of D&D panel. This is going to go over the evolution of the stat block, where they are obviously continuing their theme of making things easier, more streamlined, especially for new DMs and players alike. These changes were originally introduced in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, the Feywild adventure that came out a few weeks ago, and it's going to carry over into every book that's coming up leading into the future, like Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, Strixhaven: A Curriculum of Chaos, and Monsters of the Multiverse. They didn't give us any detail if they were gonna like print, like previous books with these updates, like a future printing of the monster manual, and they're gonna update the stat blocks. They didn't really say that, which kind of makes sense because I'm sure they want to encourage people to get the new books and especially the gift set that Monsters of the Multiverse is in, because gotta make that money. They're struggling, I guess. We also don't know what monsters specifically are going to be in the book. I'm assuming everything in Tomb of Foes and Volo's Guide to Monsters is going to be in it, but they weren't very specific. I'm sure we'll find out eventually. The changes that they're making to the stat block vary, from little things like capitalizing creature types, just to make it easier for people to identify what the creature type is, and important context that follows around that type. But it ranges from that to other things, like being a little more strict on what they consider humanoid. Creatures that are human-like, it would be more of like a moral and cultural type of thing. So, when Monsters of the Multiverse comes out, you're going to see a lot of creatures that were formerly humanoids become other things. Like the example that they give is monstrosities, fae, etc. I think a good example of that would be gnolls. In my first campaign, I had a character, a half-elf named Silthea, Ranger, who her backstory was all about gnolls. Like, she hated gnolls. And even back then, when I was still a new player, I always thought it was weird that gnolls were considered humanoid instead of, like, fiend or something like that, especially with how brutal and evil my DM played them as. So I think that's gonna be really, really, really interesting. A bigger variety of player options, really. Which I'm assuming will carry over, because I mean, they have the stat, like they have a gnoll as like a playable race, right? Somewhere. So I would assume if they're updating all these types, we're gonna have playable monstrosities, maybe playable fae and fiends or something. I think that's really cool. I'm also curious to see how that impacts, spells and effects that specifically target humanoids. Like, are they gonna change the text of those spells to make it impact a wider variety of creature types? Or are we essentially going to see kind of a nerf because there aren't going to be as many humanoids? That's going to be interesting to see. Alignment has been something, at least still as like a new player, something that I've noticed is being discussed a lot, be it on forums or Discord or whatever. There are a lot of people out there that feel that if a creature says it's a specific alignment, it has to be like that. And they consider any deviation from that to be a bad thing. Whereas there's other people who consider alignment to be more of like a suggestion or like a guideline or something. Not necessarily something that you have to follow outright, but just something to be like, hey, if you can't think of anything else pertaining to this creature type, this is what you should go with. Alignment was never really that significant in 5e. I haven't really noticed this because I haven't looked at every piece of magic item in the game. But I heard that in previous editions there were like plenty of magic items that were alignment specific. I don't think, at least from what I know, that there are many, if any, items at all in 5e that say you have to be like chaotic evil or something to use it. Changing alignment, I think, is a good idea. Like they said, they retired it for a little while they were trying to figure out what to do with it. And, you know, I think they wanted to fix, and they specifically say it too, they just wanted to fix the mistake. Like they didn't want alignment to really impact a creature's behavior and how it's role played. Like they wanted it to represent, like they said, the moral outlook of that creature. So these changes will help open up, I think, role playing, because that's all alignment is really, just role playing aid, not a determining factor. And from what they're saying, all the changes that they're making to alignment has pretty much been from player feedback. And they've noticed, kind of conflicting messages, be it in the player's handbook or monster manual, both telling you like the specific alignment of a creature, but not really mentioning that they're merely suggestions. I know a lot of people that are going to love this, and I know a lot of people that really are not going to like this. So what they're saying is moving forward, only like named NPCs or named creatures or whatever are going to have a definite alignment. So you're not going to see, like we saw one of the examples, we're not going to see regular old Warlock of the Great Old One have a definitive alignment. Instead, you're going to see Bob Ross, the Warlock of the Great Old One. He's going to be good, because I mean, it's Bob Ross. So your generic creatures or generic humanoids or whatever is pretty much going to say any alignment. I kind of wish it would say like any alignment and then like maybe like suggested suggested alignment. Wow, that was horrible. Like I said, it's getting hot. My mouth is drying out like insanely fast. That's why I'm kind of trying to book it through this a little bit. Whereas magical creatures with strong moral inclinations, like an angel or a devil or whatever, is going to say typically before like their alignments, like typically good, typically evil, that jazz. Which I actually kind of like the typically a little bit better. So I guess it depends. I think it depends how often they're going to do any alignment. Like I could see like a human or like a half elf or whatever being any alignment, but I think there's a lot of creatures that I would rather see be typically than any, in my opinion, at least. But again, I think a lot of experienced DMs and veteran players, they kind of knew from the get-go that a lot of this stuff was suggestions and not like definite or anything. But again, moving forward, I think a lot of what they're doing is to cater to the new players and new DMs. They want to make the game as accessible and as easy as they possibly can. I think that this is all to lead to the next iteration, where I think they're going to add a lot more complexity to the game. So they want to bring in as many new people now as they can, so then they can start adding some complexity to the game. At least I hope so. I hope it's not a thing where it's just from now on everything's going to be completely cookie cutter. Moving on, they say that, beasts and oozes and stuff like that will be unaligned because, they don't really have the capacity for morals or whatever. So that's pretty cool. And they also talk about the different, like, tags that they're going to have moving forward in, like, Monsters of the Multiverse, be it like an elf tag or a spellcasting class tag that'll impact, what could be attuned, and what I think, which we'll talk about later, will impact how you can customize a creature's spellcasting. Because we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that, but I know a lot of people are not going to like what they're doing with spellcasting. Proficiency bonuses are going to be added to stat blocks, which is good, which will also supplement what I'm going to suggest people do with spellcasting for creatures. Bonus action is going to be in its own little section. Again, making it easier for people to find the information that they're looking for, always a good thing. Anything that makes a stat block cleaner and more streamlined, I'm okay with. But this is where we get into it. This is where we get into it. This is why I think a lot of people are not gonna like. Spellcasting. I even got too excited about it. I forgot to take a second to scroll down before talking about it. So again, spellcasting, no spell slots. They're getting rid of the spell slots, and instead it's gonna be you can use spell A. Actually, that's like a list of spells, and then you can use it this many times a day. They're gonna split up the spell casting action, bonus action, reaction. That's what they're doing in general. They're splitting up everything, putting them all in their own categories, making it easier. And their spells are gonna focus more on utility spells, so like non-combat or more supportive spells than offensive spells. Instead, they're gonna have like a special magic action. It's gonna be like a spell or something that they can just constantly use. So this is all again to make a new DM's life easier. They don't have to worry about keeping track of spell slots and stuff like that. My whole thing is, although they're making it easier for new players, they're making it a little more time consuming for veteran DMs that are definitely not gonna like this. I know a lot of DMs that are not gonna like this. But I think since they're giving you the proficiency bonus, they're going to be giving you tags like their spellcasting class. I think you'll be able to kind of get a gist of what level wizard, as an example, this creature is, and you'll be able to make your own spell list accordingly. I think a lot of DMs are going to do that. So I kind of wish that they had. I mean, God, it would take a lot of work. I was gonna say I wish they had like a suggested spell list or something, or even if they put like a little section just explaining that, like, hey, you can use this information from the stat blocks to make like traditional spell casting for the creature with spell slots and stuff like that. I hope they include that in Monsters of the Multiverse, so people don't feel like they have to do this, in my opinion, kind of dumbed down stat block. Not dumbed down, I should say more easily accessible, easier, condensed stat block. But yeah, I hope that they I don't know. I kind of hope that they inform people on how to do it, if my idea is viable at all. So originally I was just gonna skip over this and just focus on the stat blocks, but I think I'll just go through it really quick. Maybe I'll mess things up, maybe I won't. They're also making changes to character races, as we kind of talked about a little bit at the beginning of the stat blocks discussion. We've been seeing these changes since like back in like Van Richten's Guide and Wild Beyond the Witchlight and stuff like that. You know, again, they're gonna vary out the creature type, add more variation to that. Ability score, which I also know a lot of people don't like for whatever reason. How, you know, you can pick a one ability score to be +2, one ability score to be +1, or 3+1s, or whatever. I like it if I want to be a barbarian goblin and I want to slap a +2 to its strength and a +1 to constitution, because that goblin's been focusing his whole life on getting swole and getting good. I want to be able to do it. Anything that I like giving people that type of customization. I like make your character unique. You know, your character's going to be the hero of the story or whatever, the villain of the story. Got to make them special, you know? They're not going to be your average goblin. But again, I know a lot of people that are like, "Oh, this is how it was. This is how it should be, and this is how it should always be." So I get that. But, you know, you can also you're the DM. Like if you see Harrington or whatever and you want to make his ability scores be a certain way, just let your players know ahead of time, hey, I don't do the whole you pick your ability scores thing. Just letting you know ahead of time, then do it. Like, you know, you're the DM, you can do whatever you want. I know it'll probably upset some of your players, but just, you know, make it clear to them at the beginning. But again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about how they're making it easier for new people and kind of making it a little bit harder. I mean, still, I think the ability score thing is a good thing. I'm glad it's here. Age is going to be more vague, you know, player characters can live a century, elves for centuries, stuff like that. I think this might be because, you know, if it says a human can live to be 80 or whatever, then I guess that oddball that wants to be a 90-year-old human's like, oh man, I can't do that. So I mean, I don't know. The age thing I don't care about. It's whatever. Alignment, I guess they're taking it out. They're just getting rid of it because, you know, you can be anything now. I think this whole thing sprouted from the whole orc drow controversy that I saw. It wasn't a controversy for me, but I saw a bunch of people being, you know, they had issues with how, I guess, how orcs and drows or whatever were being portrayed and treated and stuff like that. But I mean, it's true. I mean, I've played an evil drow before, and I've played a good orc before. So I mean, I don't see an issue with this, but I know kind of the purists would probably have an issue with it. Um, yeah, I mean, you know, the language thing, you know, you're gonna know common and, you know, one other language approved by your DM. So not a lot with the races. That'll probably expand as we continue, as we move forward to 2024 and the new evolution of D&D. But that wraps up this video. It actually went on a lot longer than I thought it was. I'm sure you know to try new things. Took off the glasses because everyone was telling me that my glasses had a gnarly, like, reflectiveness to it. So letting my eyes dry out and burn in front of my 3 computer monitors, but I'm doing it for you guys, so you don't have to see the reflection. Trying new things. Also got to work on the camera thing so my whole head can get in there, but you know, we'll work that out as time goes on. So I think this will be the last time I make a video on D&D Celebration unless they come out with another article like this. Um, Again, don't forget, 100 subscribers. We're going to do that giveaway for the Naruto figure. I'm going to link this article in the description down below along with all of the other Undrlvld stuff. And but I did want to let you know my next D&D video is going to be on Valda Spire of Secrets by Mage Hand Press. I think I'm going to go over the Kickstarter, and I'll go over the preview PDF, unless I get my hands on like the actual PDF, because it's supposed to come out on Monday, October 20 no, October 4th. Supposed to come out then, it got delayed. It's supposed to come out today on the 5th when I'm recording this video. So I'm not sure if it's going to get delayed again. But I'm gonna see what I can do to get that PDF and review it. But at the very least, I'll do the Kickstarter and I'll do the preview PDF that they have on their Kickstarter. There's a lot of cool stuff on that. A lot of stuff that I think might be a bit too powerful, especially if you have a DM that's not really used to balancing stuff. But it's still a lot of cool stuff. So I'm gonna go over that. We got a lot of stuff coming in the pipeline. We got some streams coming up. We got some game videos. Like DC Comics is having their little DC fandom thing next week that I'm gonna be covering. We got Fizzbands. We got a lot of stuff coming this month. But like I said, I think every week I'm gonna do that update video on Sundays to kind of let people know what's gonna be coming in the pipeline that week. I think I might stick with that. Maybe make it a little bit shorter. Who knows? But thank you all for joining me. Sorry if it seemed like I was going rapid fire. Like I said, it's progressively becoming more of a sweatshop in here. So I really just wanted to try to get this video out quick. So all of you stay safe and have a good day.